back here with our NFL Midseason Awards. We're going to start with the Defensive Player of the Year. I'll start with Jimmy. Let's hear your pick, Defensive Player of the Year.
There are a bunch of good options here. I don't say this to disrespect anybody. There's a lot of great defensive players in this league. I'm not overthinking this one. It's Aaron Donald. There is one guy in this league that you have to plan everything around defensively, and it's him. Every offense that goes against the Rams this season, and the years before as well, has to plan their game plan knowing, oh, we're going to get wrecked by Aaron Donald unless we throw 2 or 3 offensive linemen at him. So you could look at the numbers and you could look at other guys and say, yeah, they deserve it, and they do. But in terms of the amount of impact he has from his spot on that defensive line, with offensive lines planning, for at least a week just around him. That's why I go with Aaron Donald over somebody like a TJ Watt, for example, who's gotten a lot of run in recent days. So to me, it's Aaron Donald because he has such a singular effect on the opposing team's game plan every single week.
I can understand Aaron Donald. He's kind of like LeBron James, where every year you could give him the defensive player or even the MVP if you wanted because of that impact. But I'm going to go a little bit, not out of left field, but it's close. I'm going to go with Budda Baker. And I will say this. He signed that 4-year, $59 million extension back in August. And a lot of times we expect players, when they sign that big money, that they kind of have a lull or a little bit of a down year because, they got paid. They don't need anything else. But Budda Baker, I mean, he's top 10 in solo tackles. He's top 10 in interceptions, add a couple of sacks. He is everywhere on that field. He really is the catalyst for that Arizona defense and what they want to do. You can line him up just about anywhere on the field, and he makes an impact. Aside from getting caught from DK Metcalf, that might be his only low light of the season. But again, DK Metcalf is a gazelle who is 260 pounds. But again, I think for what Budda Baker's been doing, especially considering he got paid and he could have been complacent after getting his money, he is really showing that he is worth all $59 million that the Cardinals extended him for. And I think right now, if they had to call it, I think Budda Baker has a big argument for winning Defensive Player of the Year.
I'm going to go against both of you here. I've got the guy who is tied for the league lead in sacks with Aaron Donald. It's Myles Garrett from Cleveland. I think he's got 9 sacks. Obviously, is very impressive. He also has forced 4 fumbles. Still got a whole half of the season to go. He's looked very impressive over there in Cleveland, and that team is competitive right now. And if they stay competitive, I like Myles Garrett from the Browns for Defensive Player of the Year. But also, you guys both great points there. Next, we have Offensive Player of the Year. This time, I'm going to go to Andrew, Offensive Player of the Year. Who you got?
Yeah, this one is simple for me. It's Aaron Rodgers. I mean, when you think about it, he's first in QBR, 88 right now. 24 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Both those interceptions were against Tampa Bay, and which was his only down game. Other than that, I mean, they lost to Minnesota too, but he still had a good game, had 3 touchdowns, no picks. And when you think about it, 68% completion percentage. Aaron Rodgers, to me, because the NFL does Defensive and Offensive Player of the Year, Aaron Rodgers could win the Offensive Player of the Year each and every year. He's always that efficient. People say he had a down year last year, and I think he was 26-2, and that's a down year for Aaron Rodgers. So again, at the pace that he's at, he's going to put up numbers. He can throw to Aaron Jones. Devontae Adams is becoming the best wide receiver in football. With that offense, I think Aaron Rodgers, he's going to keep stat padding. His stats are only going to go up, and I think that Packers offense is going to finish top 5. So I would say right now, Aaron Rodgers, offensively, the Player of the Year.
Yeah, nothing like a death march against your own front office, right? It's just incredible. Yeah, I looked a little differently for this, maybe overthinking it a little. I tried to go outside of the quarterback position, which may be wrong in a year like this. I'm going to take Derrick Henry on the Titans. This is the guy who's leading the league in rushing, has more carries than anybody else in the league, and has played 1 less game than a lot of these guys. He's on pace for nearly 2,000 yards. And similar to Aaron Donald, on the offensive side, you plan your entire game plan around him. And you don't see many non-quarterbacks who have that going for them. But he does in Tennessee. So I have gone with Derrick Henry for the singular impact he has from the running back position, and for the fact that nobody in this league can tackle him. That helps too.
As much as I want to take a guy outside of the quarterback position, I can't. I have to go with Aaron Rodgers as well, Andrew. He's been given no help at the wide receiver position outside of Devontae Adams, and he doesn't even need it. He's had an amazing first half, 24 touchdowns, like you said, only 2 picks. He's just kind of the obvious pick for me personally. I think he's had an amazing start, and he's going to keep having a great year over there in Green Bay. Next, we have rookies. We're going to start with the defense. So the defensive rookie of the year, Jimmy, who is it?
Yeah, a couple of good options here. I like the way Chase Young's been playing in Washington. I'm going with him. He's the number 2 pick for a reason. He is a guy who is going to be the cornerstone of either that defense or another defense for years to come. And he has really impressed me in the first 7 games of his career. I loved him out of Ohio State, and I think what we've seen from him. I thought he was the best player in this draft overall, and I really still do believe that. And I think the potential for his career is just limitless. So Chase Young gets Defensive Rookie of the Year for me.
Yeah, if Chase Young hadn't missed almost half of the season so far, I'd probably be with you, Jimmy. But I'm going to go again. Maybe this is left field, but I'm going to go to Carolina and the rookie safety, Jeremy Chin. A lot of people spoke about Isaiah Simmons coming into this draft as a safety who you could put at linebacker, could be around the field, versatile, could fit any scheme. And while that was what Isaiah Simmons was touted to be, we're seeing that from Jeremy Chin in Carolina. I mean, they're putting him at safety, at linebacker. He's 10th right now in tackles combined, 67. Add a pick there with him this season too. I just think his versatility, he's a guy who's just been productive, just slowly chugging along. And I think if he keeps the pace, nobody's really talking about Carolina. But again, at the pace he's at tackles wise, I think he's going to get to over 100 combined tackles. And I think he's really going to be one of those steals where we look back at this past draft. He is one of those steals, and Carolina got him in the second round.
Yeah, everyone's looking at Chase Young, and rightfully so. It was hard for me to look past him, but I'm also going to go off of that. I'm going to go with the linebacker from the Baltimore Ravens, Patrick Queen, another rookie, kind of under the radar a little bit. He's definitely been very versatile for them. 2 sacks, 2 fumbles forced, and 2 recovered as well. And he's got 48 tackles too, only halfway through the season. So I'm going to take Patrick Queen over there in Baltimore. They've had a nice year, and so is he. Next, staying with the rookies, we're going to now look at the offensive side of the ball. So offensive rookie of the year, Andrew, you start. Who do you have?
This one's a simple, Ed. We all should agree on it. It's Joey B, the man in Cincinnati, Joe Burrow. I mean, come on now. He's 3rd in passing yards right now. He's 1st in attempts and completions. And we talk about Aaron Rodgers doing it in spite of what he has in Green Bay. Joe Burrow's the same thing. They have no offensive line. They have a few pieces there at the wide receiver position. The running back position right now is a revolving door with Mixon and Bernard being injury prone. And you think about that Cincinnati defense, Joe Burrow has had so much that he's had to withstand. But again, Cincinnati has been competitive in most of their games. And that's a credit to Joey B. Jimmy, Joe Burrow, he's got to be the offensive rookie of the year, right?
I'm going to give a little love to Justin Herbert, and I'm going to give the award to Joe Burrow. Justin Herbert's having a great year. He's been tremendous. That team has also found every way to lose. And that also has to be part of the calculus. Not like the Bengals have been great. Don't get me wrong. But, yeah, it's Joe Burrow. And you talked about the running back position. Joe Mixon had a couple of good games, then he got hurt, which is extremely frustrating for Team Sullivan, but that's neither here nor there. But he's been terrific. He was terrific again last week. He's been playing great football. And he's the guy in Cincinnati. There's no question about that. He will be going forward. When you get the number 1 pick, the point of it usually is to make right on it. The Jets and Giants are dealing with issues along that end right now where they each had top 10 picks in the draft and, might be looking at moving on at some point from the picks that they made. Not so in Cincinnati. Joe Burrow is the guy. And he made a throw at the end of that game last week to clinch it for him, where he had the receiver going on a quick slant and he was heading towards the defender. So he threw it back to the outside, got him away from the defender, made the catch, won the game. It's little things like that. He just gets it. Like he came out of LSU. He's 23 years old. He's older than Lamar Jackson, by the way, which is very low key. But, he He came out of college and people were saying, oh, how much can he develop? But he just gets it at such a high level right now that he doesn't need to do as much development. So he's really good. He's got a bad team around him, but I think he's making do with that. And yeah, he's just been terrific for Cincinnati. And as much as I love Justin Herbert, as much as I may want to give it to him, it's Joe Burrow. Andrew's absolutely right.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting comparison between Herbert and Burrow because they're both on teams that are not very good, 2-5, and they're both definitely playing very well and shining on those teams and making them even fun to watch. But I got to go with Joe Burrow here. I got to stick with you guys as well. As much as I want to go against the grain, I think Joe Burrow has it. He's won his whole career, and sure, the Bengals aren't winning necessarily, but he's winning and he's playing well. He's going to probably lock up this award. So I'm going to give Joe Burrow the slight edge there. And I want to bring up a quote he said here. He said, quote, he's just scratching the surface of his potential. And I think that's even true. I don't even know how much higher he can go. Maybe bring the Bengals or whatever organization he ends up with to some playoff victories. We'll see down the road. But I think Burrow is a strong candidate for that offensive rookie of the year. Now we got coaches. So coach of the year, Jimmy, who's the coach of the year?
I'm trying not to reinvent the wheel here. I'm going to go with Mike Tomlin. This is a team that is undefeated. If we all took bets at the beginning of the season and said, who's going to be the last team in the NFL to be undefeated, I don't think any of us would have said the Pittsburgh Steelers. And, you thought maybe they could be pretty good with their defense, but, this is a team that's just clicking on all cylinders. Right. You've got Ben Roethlisberger, an older quarterback, but, still has something left in the tank. A defense that's absolutely tremendous, led by Minkah Fitzpatrick. Shout out New Jersey high school football. And this is a team that, look, I don't think they're the best team in the AFC. I think if they play a team like the Chiefs in the playoffs, that's not a good matchup for them. But you have to give them a ton of credit. I didn't even think they were going to win that game last week against Baltimore, and they were able to shut down Lamar Jackson. So, yeah, you have to give Mike Tomlin a ton of credit. No Le'Veon Bell, no Antonio Brown on this roster, and they're flourishing. And, you could argue that maybe he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize for dealing with, some of the stuff he dealt with, particularly with Antonio Brown, to be clear. But yeah, it's Mike Tomlin, and just doing an unbelievable job, and he's got that team in position to maybe make some noise in the postseason.
Yeah, I'm with Jimmy 100%. It has to be Mike Tomlin, and it's crazy. In his 14-year career, Mike Tomlin has never had a record under 500. He's had 3 12-4 seasons and 1 13-3 season, yet he's never won Coach of the Year. That to me is baffling and confusing. I thought much like Russell Wilson, you would think they'd already have the hardware, but yet he's never won Coach of the Year. And as Jimmy mentioned, no AB, no Le'Veon Bell. Obviously, Big Ben is kind of basically a shell of what he once was. And even amid all that, he's still been able to draft well, have that defense back to being top tier, and that offense does just enough with some of the talent that they have at wide receiver to put up enough points to get them those wins. Mike Tomlin, give him his flowers. He deserves it. If there's going to be any year where we need to give him that recognition, it should be this year. The only unbeaten team left, it's definitely got to be Mike Tomlin.
I hate to go against this because you guys are making great points here and the Steelers have been playing well, but I am going to go against it. I'm going to take Brian Flores with the Dolphins. I think he's had certainly an impressive year there. The team was 5-11 a year ago. They already have 4 wins this year. Honestly, I think if they can find a way to win 8 or 9 games, which is not really out of the question because I'm looking at their schedule, they have certainly a good amount of winnable games in the second half of their schedule. If they can get to that 8 or 9 wins, that's a huge win for the Dolphins this year. They're second in the AFC East. Obviously, the Patriots are down this year, so that might be part of why. But still, you can't go against Flores here. I really like the way he's done with this team. He's reinvigorated that team. He's made them relevant again after a tough season last year. I think if they win 8 or 9 games, I want to give him the slight edge over Mike Tomlin. But obviously, Tomlin's a great pick over there in Pittsburgh. That team is incredible, undefeated still. Who knows how long they'll go with that record. Finally, we conclude here with the most valuable player of the NFL season to this point. Andrew, who do you have for this?
Now, I mentioned Russell Wilson and the fact that he's never won an MVP, and I'm going to go the way Sam went. I should pick Russell Wilson, but I'm going with Patrick Mahomes. 21-1. He leads the NFL in total offense. I believe it's somewhere in the realm of 2,600 yards or so. And to me, besides that game against the Raiders, where a lot of people said he wasn't great, and he wasn't. He only threw a pick. I think it was 15 to 23. But again, aside from that one game, he has been basically perfect. And this Kansas City Chiefs team, nobody's really been talking about them because of the Steelers and some other surprises from both the NFC and the AFC, the Tampa Bay Bucks. Obviously, we're seeing what the NFC West is doing. So Kansas City's really gotten lost in the shuffle. And to me, Patrick Mahomes, after that game against the Jets, and I know it's against the Jets, but that kind of feels like something where we're going to springboard and see Mahomes go on a crazy tear in the next few weeks. And I think he's just reminding everyone, in the great words of Roy Jones Jr., y'all must have forgot. And Patrick Mahomes right now has made his entrance, and he is going to look for his second MVP trophy.
Patrick Mahomes is the best player in football. I'm not taking that away from him, but say it with me. Let Russ cook. And I don't think there's a quarterback in the league that has to do more for his team to win than Russell Wilson. Because you look at these Seahawks games, like these are white knuckle games. Like they do not play normal games in Seattle. They really never have. But Russell Wilson, what he is doing is incredible. And that offense is clicking, and he has to do so much. And a lot of these games are close, but you see what he does late in games. He's so good. This is the year he gets his due. He's not just never won an MVP, he's never gotten an MVP vote. So it's really ridiculous at this point. I honestly believe, and it's not to take away from Lamar Jackson, if I would have had an MVP vote last year, it would have gone to Russell Wilson. This year, it would definitely go to Russell Wilson. I'm not saying he's the best quarterback in football. He's the most valuable. And that fulfills the distinction of the award. And I give it to Russell Wilson, and I give him the nod.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jimmy. I got to take Russell Wilson. When I say he's led the Seahawks, he has led the Seahawks, like you said. I mean, they're 6-1. They're having a great year. And a lot of that credit goes to Russell Wilson. His stats are insane. 26 touchdowns to start the year. He's on pace for almost 4,500 passing yards. It's insane to me that he's never gotten an MVP vote, but if any year is a year, it's this one. I think Patrick Mahomes certainly might be the only guy who can catch him. Obviously, you can't go against probably the best player in football right now, but I have the most valuable player as Russell Wilson for this season.